So the company would have a couple meetings where they could present their side to workers. They would allow the union organizers to come into the plant and talk to workers in the break room and present their side. And when they had this fair process, the workers voted for their union. And they got their union in 2008. They got a contract that gave them wage increases, better sick leave, addressed issues about safety, allowed them to have a health and safety committee that will regularly talk to management about safety issues. So that was a huge victory here in North Carolina. So I said it took 15 years for workers to get their union at Smithfield. It took 25 years for workers to get a union at Pilatex, which is eventually went out of business. But this is not what I'm getting at, is it's not an isolated case that it takes years for workers to organize. And that is because our labor laws are so outdated and need reform. When the company can break the laws with impunity and know it's going to take years before they come back to us, the fines are minimal. They've got to pay back pay to workers. What, 7 years later? And the election system, it's not the same kind of election that we have to elect our president or our public officials, because the boss has a power over you to intimidate you in a way that nobody else can. They control your paycheck. They can fire you. So imagine if in this upcoming election in November, your boss said to you, if you support candidate A, I'm going to fire you. If candidate A wins, I'm going to close this plant down and we're going to move it to Mexico. And by the way, I know who's supporting candidate A because I've had some folks keeping a list. And I'm going to make an example out of these supporters of this candidate. I'm going to assign them to the hardest duty in this plant. And you know what, maybe I'll just make a real example out of a few of them and fire them. And when election day comes, there's only one place you can vote, and it's right here in the plant, and I'm going to watch you and stare you down as you go in the voting booth to cast your vote. That's what it's like in a union election. You know, thank goodness it's not like that when we go to elect our president and our elected officials. There is an inherent power imbalance in the workplace, and that's why we need to protect workers' right to organize free from intimidation, violence, and threats. So we are fighting hard for labor law reform that's known as the Employee Free Choice Act. Has anybody heard about this? It was, for a while, very much in the news and not so much recently.
Now, according to our text, all those behaviors are illegal.
They are illegal.
So why not, in the benefit of the union, especially with a company so say like Smithfield, where it's been known to be a violent or a very hard push, why couldn't the union ask that a local deputy or sheriff be present to make sure that they don't break that 100-foot rule, or that there's no at least blatant acts while the voters are trying to vote?